Okay, let's unpack this, because today we are looking at a stack of sources that, uh, quite honestly, shouldn't belong on the same desk,
No, not at all.
let alone in the same deep dive. Usually when we prep for these, there's a theme,
Right, there's a clear through line.
the future of AI or the history of Rome, something cohesive. Today, the theme seems to be collision.
It is a unique pairing. I'm looking at the spread here, and on one side we have Hollywood charm, Texas philosophy, and a memoir that reads like, I don't know, a fever dream of
A
optimism.
very compelling one, though.
Oh, for sure. And on the other side, well, we have something that questions the very fabric of the reality the first book is trying so hard to navigate. It's like we're trying to mix oil and water or maybe ketchup and, well, we'll get to the ketchup later. That's a teaser.
Definitely a teaser.
Yep.
But seriously, the mission for today is to look at two very, very different manuals for living. One is about how to drive the car, and the other is about how the road is fake.
Manuals is absolutely the right word. Both of these texts are obsessed with the rules of the game. They just disagree entirely on what game we are playing.
So where do we start?
Well, let's start with the heavyweight champion in our stack today. It's Matthew McConaughey's book, Greenlights.
Okay.
Now, for anyone listening who might roll their eyes and think, oh, another celebrity memoir, great. I need you to just pause on that.
Yeah, he is very specific in the intro. He says this is not a memoir. He calls it an approach book.
An approach book, a playbook. That's the other word he uses. And it's based on 35 years of diaries he kept.
35 years.
Yeah, tracking every success, every failure, every weird dream he ever had.
So it's not just him remembering things. It's built on a foundation of actual in-the-moment notes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it is fascinating because it's essentially a treatise on engineering your own luck. It's about how to navigate the autobahn of life, as he puts it, with maximum speed and minimum friction.
But then, just to keep us on our toes, we have this wild card source.
The what?
This is the Renegade Mind text. It's excerpts from a much more radical, controversial set of writings, specifically Renegade Mind and Pedophilia and Empire.
Right.
Now, full disclaimer, we are looking at this text purely as a counter-argument to the structure of reality. It touches on programmed minds, the postage stamp consensus, and some very heavy allegations about societal control, including calling recent global events psyops.
Right. And just to be clear for you listening, as always, we are impartial guides here. We are not endorsing the renegade worldview, not at all.
Well.
But we are using it to ask a fundamental question. How does an optimist who believes in catching green lights compare to a renegade who believes the traffic lights are rigged by a simulation?
I love that setup. So we have the optimist engineer versus the radical skeptic.
That's it.
But let's start with the optimist. Let's start with the title itself. What exactly is a green light? Because when I'm driving, a green light just means I don't have to hit the brakes.
And that's the core of it. But it's a great metaphor that McConaughey expands into an entire worldview. He defines a green light simply as go. It's an affirmation. It's an approval.
Yeah.
In our lives, these are the moments of, cash, health, joy, fresh starts.
It's when the universe says yes.
It's when the world says yes to you. Exactly. It's getting the promotion without asking for it. It's the girl smiling back at you across the bar. It's things just clicking.
It's the shoeless summer, as he calls it. I love that imagery.
It's great, isn't it?
It evokes this feeling of ease, of warmth, of everything just flowing. But life isn't just green lights. If it were, we wouldn't need a manual.
No, of course not. And that is where the philosophy gets some teeth. He talks about the yellow and red lights.
Right.
Yellows are the cautions, the detours, the slow down, something's coming moments. And reds. Reds are the full stop. Sickness, pain, death, the shoeless winter.
The moments where the universe slams the door right in your face.
Exactly. But here is where it gets really interesting. And this is the core of the whole book. McConaughey's whole thesis is that green lights aren't just things that happen to you randomly, like weather. They can be engineered.
Engineered. How so?
Correct. This is the concept of agency. He argues that we can catch more green lights by simply identifying where the red lights are in our lives and changing course. It's about anticipation.
So it's proactive.
Very. If you know a certain behavior, say drinking too much on a Tuesday, or a certain person is a red light for you, a dead end, a source of pain.
You steer clear.
You steer clear. You literally design your route, your life, to hit more green lights by eliminating the habits and the people that are guaranteed to turn the lights red.
It sounds so simple, but it requires a lot of self-awareness. You have to be brutally honest with yourself about what your red lights are.
Oh, absolutely. But he goes even deeper than just avoid the bad stuff.
Yeah.
He has this theory about the rear view mirror, and I think this is the most, I don't know, comforting part of the book.
The rear view mirror.
He says, and this is a quote, "All destruction eventually leads to construction."
That's a powerful idea.
It's a very stoic idea, actually. He's saying that today's red light, that job you lost, that breakup that felt like the end of the world, that failure, eventually turns green in the rearview mirror of life.
So the meaning of it changes over time.
The color of it changes. It might take a year, it might take 10 years, or you might not see it until you're on your deathbed. But the stop was actually a setup for a different go.
So the color of the light changes depending on how far away you are from it.
Exactly. Time reveals the utility of the crisis. He calls it getting relative with the inevitable.
Yes, that phrase stood out to me. Getting relative with the inevitable. Let's unpack that a little more.
Okay, so the inevitability is the situation itself, the fact.
Yeah.
You can't change the fact that it's raining, or that you got fired, or that someone you love died. That is the fact. That is gravity.
It is what it is.
It is what it is, but how you deal with it, that is relative. You have choices. He says you can persist, you can pivot, or you can concede. And the art of living is knowing which one to do and when.
And the secret to satisfaction is knowing that sometimes the green light comes from waving the white flag and saying, I'm out. It's not just blind persistence.
Precisely. Conceding isn't always losing. Sometimes it's the smartest move you can make. It's a strategic retreat to find a better path with more green lights.
It reminds me of that Kenny Rogers song, The Gambler. You got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them.
It's the exact same principle. And he has this beautiful line that sums it all up. The arrow doesn't seek the target draws the arrow.
Ooh, I like that.
It suggests that if you align yourself correctly, if you find your frequency, as he puts it, the success comes to you. It's less about hunting and more about attracting.
Which sounds very mystical, very The Secret.
It does.
Until you hear about how he grew up.
Yeah.
Because this man did not grow up in a Zen monastery meditating on the nature of arrows. He grew up in a house that was, well, let's call it kinetic.
That is a very polite way of putting it.
Yes, it is.
To understand Matthew McConaughey, you absolutely have to understand Jim and Kay McConaughey.
His parents, married 3 times, divorced twice to each other.
Right. It was a volatile, high-passion environment, a relationship fueled by intense love and just as intense conflict.
And there is one story in the source material that really, it just encapsulates this dynamic perfectly. It's 1974, the ketchup incident.
Oh man, the ketchup incident. This is cinematic.
It really is. I read this part and thought, okay, this explains everything. So set the scene. It's a Wednesday night. Dad comes home from work. He's hungry. Mom puts a plate of reheated potatoes in front of him. He asks for more. But he doesn't just ask. It turns into a thing.
It escalates rapidly. He calls her fat man.
And she calls him shitface.
And this isn't playful banter.
Not at all. This is aggressive. The tone is sharp.
No, the table gets flipped. Literally flipped. Potatoes are everywhere. And then Mom Kay grabs a bottle of ketchup. And this isn't the plastic squeeze bottle we have today.
No, this is 1974 glass bottle technology. The kind you had to smack on the bottom to get anything out.
Exactly. She wields it like a weapon. They are circling each other in the kitchen like prize fighters. She throws the ketchup. It breaks. There is red blood. Well, ketchup splattered everywhere.
It's like a scene from a Scorsese film. And then she pulls a knife.
She pulls a knife, a butcher knife. This is the moment where, in almost any other biography, we would be talking about deep childhood trauma and the need for, serious intervention.
Right. And Jim, the dad, he picks up a chair to fend her off like a lion tamer. But then the pivot.
The pivot that explains everything about McConaughey's view on love and conflict. His dad stops, just freezes, looks at her. She's covered in ketchup, holding a knife, and he says, "You're not going to use that, Kay."
She just drops it.
She tries that. And then they fall to the floor and make love. Right there.
In the ketchup.
In the ketchup, on the kitchen floor.
While Matthew and his brothers are watching.
It is. Intense. But McConaughey's takeaway is what matters here. He says he didn't see abuse. He says, and I quote, "This is how my mom and dad loved each other."
So for him, it wasn't trauma. It was communication.
It was communication. It was passion. It was a red light situation, a violent fight that immediately, and I mean immediately, turned green.
Wow. It sets the stage for a very specific worldview. The conflict isn't necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes it's just a very, very messy form of connection.
And you see that ethos play out in his life. But
Yeah.
growing up in that house, despite all that chaos, there were rules, very explicit rules.
My main ones.
3 main rules. And if you broke them, you faced physical discipline. Rule number 1, don't say, I can't.
He got in huge trouble for saying, I can't. His dad would tell him, you may be having trouble, but you can. It was about refusing to acknowledge impossibility.
Just erasing it from his vocabulary.
Yeah.
Rule number 2, don't hate. You can dislike, you can be angry, you can fight, but hate was a forbidden word.
Why that word specifically?
In their view, hate is a spiritual cancer. It's something that eats you from the inside out. It's a poison you drink hoping the other person dies.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
And the third rule.
Never lie.
Those seem like pretty good rules, to be fair.
They are, but the enforcement was strict. He talks about rites of passage. He got his ass whopped. But again, looking in his rearview mirror, he views this as clarity.
He calls it tough love. He says he wouldn't trade a single spanking because it taught him consequences in a way that, a timeout never could have.
It's the Jim identity. His father valued specific things, sirs and ma'ams, a strong work ethic, and these rites of passage.
There's the pivotal moment where his father tells him, don't half-ass it.
Yes.
Whatever you do, do it fully. If you're going to win, win. If you're going to lose, lose. But don't hesitate. Don't be in the middle.
And that advice seems to be the engine of McConaughey's life. It's what drives him forward.
Which leads us directly to his first real test. The first time he really had to apply that grit outside the protection of that crazy, chaotic, but weirdly loving house.
The exchange trip to Australia.
This is section 3 in our outline, and honestly, this sounds like a horror movie disguised as a study abroad program.
It really does. So he graduates high school. It's 1988. He's the most handsome. He's got the sports car. He's got money in his pocket. He's dating the prettiest girl.
He is catching nothing but green lights. Life is good.
Life is perfect. He decides to go to Australia for a year, and he's expecting beaches and blondes and surfing, the postcard version.
And what does he get instead?
Instead, he ends up in a small town, miles from the coast, in the middle of nowhere, living with a family he calls the Cats.
This family.
Yeah.
Okay, the sources are polite, but very descriptive.
You were.
Weird.
Weird is putting it mildly. The mother, Miss Hudd, insisted on calling him my boy.
Which is just a little creepy.
A little. They were strictly vegetarian. They didn't really believe in deodorant. They wanted him to abstain from everything. No drinking, no girls, nothing.
So he went from being the big man on campus in Texas to being a complete nobody.
His entire identity was stripped away. No car, no status, no girls, and he was stuck there. He couldn't just leave because of that rule from his dad.
Don't half-ass it.
Exactly. He had committed to the year. He had to see it through.
And there's this one visceral detail in the book about him stepping in wet shit.
Literally and metaphorically.
Yeah, he walks 15 miles to a village just to escape the house for a bit and steps right in it. But it's a symbol for the whole year. He was just trudging through it.
It was miserable. By all accounts, a truly awful year.
But this is where the philosophy of the green light really kicks in, right? This was a massive red light, a full, blaring stop sign. But what did he learn from it?
He learned to endure. He wrote thousands of letters home. He learned to enjoy his own company. He was forced into introspection. And he says something so profound about this experience.
What's that?
He says, creativity needs borders. Individuality needs resistance.
Wow. That is such a powerful line. Creativity needs borders.
Think about it. When you have everything, when you have infinite resources and total freedom, you don't have to be creative.
There's no problem to solve.
Right. But when you are stuck in a weird house in Australia eating lettuce with a strange family, you have to build a world inside your head just to survive.
So that's where the writer, the actor, the storyteller was born, in that resistance.
Exactly. It was a shoeless winter, but it forced him to become introspective. It made him a writer. It made him an observer. If he hadn't had that miserable year, he might have just stayed the most handsome guy in Texas and sold insurance.
So that red light in the rearview mirror was maybe the biggest green light of his life.
It's a classic example. Australia broke him down so he could be built back up into something new.
And when he came back, he went to film school, and then Wooderson happened.
The role that changed everything, dazed and confused.
The story of him getting that role is classic engineering luck. He didn't just audition. He went to a bar, met the casting director completely by chance, and just charmed his way into an audition.
He put himself in the path of the green light.
He really did. But the character of Wooderson gave him his mantra.
Just keep living.
Right. It's not explicitly in the movie script in that exact way, but it became his ethos. of course.
Sir.
The first 3 words he ever said on camera.
Which is amazing. 3
Right.
words. 3 affirmations. Green light, green light, green light.
And for a while, it was all green lights. He became a star overnight after A Time to Kill. He says he was famous for being famous. But then the trap set in.
The rom-com trap. And this is a fascinating case study in career management for anyone, in any field.
How so?
He became the Saturday guy. The guy you watch on a Saturday afternoon when you just want to feel good. The wedding planner, how to lose a guy in 10 days.
And he admits, they paid well, they were easy. He got to take his shirt off on a beach. It was a good gig.
It was a great gig, but he calls them bubbly mendacities.
Mendacities meaning lies.
Bubbly lies.
Yeah.
Sweet bubbly lies. The characters were never in real danger. The love wasn't hard-earned. It was formulaic. And he felt his life was becoming flat.
He had rolling green lights, but they were taking him in circles.
Perfect analogy. He was successful on paper, rich, famous, everything he thought he wanted, but his soul was bored.
So what does he do? He does the unthinkable for a Hollywood actor in his prime. He unbrands.
This is the concept of voluntary obligations. He realized that just because society and his bank account said, keep doing rom-coms, he had an obligation to himself, a voluntary one, to stop.
He turned down a massive offer. The text mentions refusing offers to the point where he was turning down millions with a comma and 6 zeros just to do nothing.
He turned down a $14.5 million offer.
$14.5 million
Yeah.
to say no.
And then, silence. He just disappeared.
For 2 years. He says, and I love this quote, "I was remembered by being forgotten."
It's such a paradoxical strategy, but it worked. By refusing to be the rom-com guy, he eventually stopped being seen as the rom-com guy. He created a void.
And nature abhors a vacuum.
It does. When he finally came back, he wasn't the guy for the wedding planner, too. He was the guy for the Lincoln Lawyer. Killer Joe. True detective.
The reconnaissance?
Exactly. But it required a massive red light that he imposed on himself. He engineered a stop to create a new flow. He had to be willing to lose his entire career to save his career.
That takes some serious guts.
It's the don't half-ass it rule in action.
While all this career stuff is happening, there is this whole other spiritual undercurrent to his life. He has these dreams, specifically the Amazon dream.
This is beautiful imagery. He dreams he is floating in the Amazon River, surrounded by anacondas and piranhas, mortal dangers.
Things that should be terrifying.
Absolutely. But he isn't scared. He is floating face up, completely serene, and the current is just carrying him.
And he interprets this as a sign to surrender, to stop thrashing, to stop trying to control the river and just trust the flow.
And this directly connects to how he met his wife, Camila.
Right. He was in a club making margaritas at his table, a very on-brand activity.
Very. And he says for the first time in his life, he wasn't looking, he wasn't scanning the room like a predator hunting for a mate. He was just being. He was content.
He was in that state of surrender. The Amazon River state.
Exactly. And then he sees a figure moving right to left across his field of vision.
He says, "I didn't ask who is that, I asked what is that?"
Because she moved differently. She floated. And because he was in that state of surrender, he was ready to receive her. He wasn't chasing, he was attracting. The target was drawing the arrow.
It all connects.
Yeah.
And this leads to this huge shift in his life, the transition from being a bachelor to husband and father.
And he takes fatherhood incredibly seriously. He has this line, and it's a bit controversial, but very interesting. Man is never more masculine than after the birth of his first child.
Interesting. Not macho, but masculine.
Right. And he defines it as alignment. Your head, your heart, and your gut are finally on the same frequency because you are serving something other than yourself.
It's a different kind of purpose.
A deeper purpose.
Yeah.
He calls his daughter Vita the honeymoon that lasts forever. And you can see in his diaries the writing itself shifts. It stops being about how do I get what I want and starts being about how do I handle what I have.
That's a huge shift.
Which is the ultimate maturation of the green light philosophy. It's no longer about speeding down the highway. It's about appreciating the drive and who's in the car with you.
So, okay, we have this really clear picture of a man who navigates life by reading the signs, accepting resistance, and trusting that the target draws the arrow. It's optimistic, it's empowering.
It is.
It assumes that the world is a place that can be navigated if you just have the right attitude and the right playbook.
But
we
have another book on the table.
We do. And this is where we have to take a sharp turn off the Autobahn and maybe off the map entirely.
Let's pivot to the renegade mind.
Okay, deep breath. The second source in our stack is arguing something very, very different. If McConaughey is all about internal locus of control, I control my reaction.
Mm-hmm.
This source is focused on external systems of control.
Right. And again, a reminder that we are reporting on the text provided. The thesis here is that humanity is trapped in what the author calls a postage stamp consensus.
That is a sticky phrase.
Yeah.
The postage stamp consensus. What does it mean?
Imagine a huge envelope. The postage stamp consensus is just the tiny stamp in the corner.
Okay.
The author argues that what we consider reality, what we learn in school, what we see on the news, what science tells us, is just that tiny stamp. But real reality is the rest of the envelope. It's the rest of the post office. It's the whole city.
So we are living in a deliberately narrow band of allowed reality.
Exactly. And the source draws a sharp distinction between the programmed mind and the renegade mind.
Okay, what's the difference?
The programmed mind sees dots. It sees events as separate, disconnected things. Oh, a virus happened. Oh, a war started. Oh, the economy crashed. Just a series of unfortunate random events.
And the renegade mind?
The renegade mind connects the dots. It sees the picture. It argues that these aren't random events at all, but part of a coordinated script designed to manage the population.
And this is where the source gets into the really controversial stuff.
Yes. It explicitly claims that things like the COVID pandemic were not natural disasters, but hoaxes or psyops, psychological operations engineered for control.
Wow.
It mentions things like the Great Reset and agendas like Agenda 2030. The argument is that these are all mechanisms to keep people on the postage stamp, to keep them fearful, compliant, and disconnected from their true power.
And it doesn't stop there, right? It goes into simulation theory.
It does, yeah. It cites a Scientific American article from April 2021, of all things.
Really? A mainstream publication.
Yes, and the source uses that article to argue that reality is literally a simulation, like a computer code, and the speed of light is just the processing limit of the hardware. We're in a video game.
Okay, so let's bring McConaughey back in. How does this compare? Because McConaughey says creativity needs borders. He says Earth needs gravity. He seems to like the constraints. He finds freedom within them.
That is the crucial conflict. McConaughey says, accept the constraints and find your flow within them. The renegade source says, the constraints are a prison, the gravity is artificial, smash the walls.
McConaughey says get relative with the inevitable. So when COVID hits, his approach is, okay, this is a red light. How do I pivot? How do I use this time to write a book? How do I get closer to my family?
Right. He accepts the inevitable and works with it. The renegade source says reject the inevitable. It says do not comply with the lockdown. Do not accept the vaccine passport. Do not accept the official narrative.
It's a fundamental difference in how to deal with suffering or adversity.
Completely. McConaughey says suffering is a tool for growth. It's a red light that turns green in the rearview mirror. The renegade source says suffering is a weapon used against you by a parasitic class or a cult to maintain control.
So if you look at it through the renegade lens, McConaughey is what? Is he just playing the game really well?
That's one way to put it. From that perspective, he is a very successful player of the game. He is navigating the simulation perfectly. He is catching green lights within the program.
But the renegade would ask, is he free? Or is he just enjoying a really nice, well-decorated prison yard?
That's the question the text poses. But I think there is a synthesis here. I think there's a common thread.
What's that?
Both authors are obsessed with waking up.
Waking up. How so?
Well, McConaughey wants to wake up to his own potential. He wants to stop sleepwalking through life, stop lying to himself, stop doing things because other people expect him to. That is a form of waking up.
It's an internal awakening.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the renegade wants to wake up to the nature of the system.
An external awakening.
Right. McConaughey breaks the firewall of his own bad habits and self-deceptions. The renegade wants to break the firewall of the Matrix.
That is a really cool way to look at it. You can be a renegade inside your own life, breaking your own rules, taking risks, unbranding yourself without necessarily believing that the moon is a hologram.
Or you could argue that you need a bit of both. You need the renegade's skepticism to know when you are being manipulated or controlled, but you need the green light philosophy to actually enjoy your day-to-day existence.
That makes sense.
If you spend all your time fighting the simulation, you might miss the shoeless summer.
You might miss the sunset because you're too busy looking for the glitches in the sky.
Precisely. McConaughey's book is about the art of living. The renegade text is about the art of fighting. And at some point, even a soldier needs to sit down and have a beer and watch that sunset.
Which brings us back to the art of living. That's McConaughey's spelling, by the way, Livin,
No G.
no G. Because life is a verb. It's something you do.
It is. And as we wrap up here, I want to go back to that 1992 note that McConaughey found. The 10 goals list.
Oh, this is a great artifact. He found it years later, tucked away in a box. He wrote it 2 days after wrapping Dazed and Confused, 1992. He was basically nobody at that point.
And the list is just, it's prophetic. Goal number 1, become a father.
Check.
Goal number 8, win an Oscar for Best Actor.
Check. A big...
Then, goal number 10, just keep living.
He nailed them. He literally manifested them. But he has this concept of the experience C that I think is so important.
I love this. He says he hasn't made all A's in life. Not by a long shot. He's messed up. He's stepped in shit, literally and figuratively. But he prefers an experienced C to an ignorant A.
An ignorant A is when you get it right, but you don't know why. It's just dumb luck without any awareness.
Exactly. An experienced C is when you tried, you failed, you learned something, and you got a passing grade with some mud on your boots. You earned that C.
And that experience is more valuable than the unearned A.
Infinitely more valuable. And it comes back to his final big idea, the idea of the resume versus the eulogy.
This is how he closes the book, and it's a powerful closer. Life is a resume. It's what we are doing, achieving, ticking off boxes.
The things you put on LinkedIn.
Right.
Yeah.
But death is a eulogy. It's the story people tell about you when you're gone.
And the goal of the Greenlight philosophy, the whole point of this playbook, is to live in such a way that your resume becomes your eulogy.
And there's no gap between the two.
No gap. You don't want a resume full of lies and a eulogy full of polite fictions. You want the story of your life to be the truth of your soul.
He calls it the sole objective, beginning with the end in mind.
And paradoxically, that often starts with the process of elimination.
Knowing who you are not.
Yes. McConaughey figured out he wasn't a lawyer, which he almost went to school for. He figured out he wasn't the rom-com guy. By removing the lead lights, by saying no to the things that weren't him, the green lights revealed themselves.
It's like sculpture. You're not adding clay. You're just chipping away everything that isn't the statue. So what does this all mean for us? For you, listening right now, driving your car or walking your dog?
I think it challenges us to look at our own red lights, the things that are stopping us right now, the frustration, the delays, the pain.
And to ask a different question about them. Are they stopping you? Or are they protecting you? Are they detours that are actually shortcuts to somewhere better?
And if we want to bring the renegade back in for one final thought, are those red lights even real? Or are they part of a program, a narrative, a fear, a social expectation that you can simply choose to opt out of?
Can you just run the red light?
Sometimes finding your frequency, finding your own path means breaking the rules and running the red light to get home.
That is a dangerous and a beautiful thought to leave on. Check your rearview mirror, folks. You might be surprised at what color those lights are now.
Indeed.
Just keep living. Thanks for diving deep with us.
See you next time.